How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So you've got one of these and you've got some household can paint or spray bomb paint sitting around the house and you want to run it through your airbrush. Well, how do you go from this, right, to this? That is what today's topic of the video is about, so let's get to it. That's right, you have one of these and you know you're sitting around the house, you want to work on a hobby, and or whatever, you paint something, you know that you have a particular color on hand, so you don't have to run to the store and get it and everything, but you want the finish that an airbrush can give you, right? So how do you get it out of this can? Well, that's what it's called, is decanning, D-E-C-A-N-N-I-N-G. That's right, spelling lesson for today. But anyhow, it means exactly what it sounds like it means. It's taking whatever's in here and getting it out, okay? Now I will try to remember to put in a picture if I can, but for the sake of argument, if I don't, if you've never looked inside of one of these cans, what it is, and get the top off. You know, you have the dome shape and you have the spray nozzle. That's where everything comes out, of course. Well, from here down to like right about there, there's a tube. It's called a pickup tube, okay? And that's what everything comes out of. Well, how do you get the paint out of this? Well, you have to have something to force it out. That's called a propellant. And typically what happens is you've got about this much paint, this much propellant to that much paint, right? So when you press this nozzle, the propellant pushes down, right? Because the liquid is heavier than propellant, but the propellant pushes down and forces the paint to come out. But that's the whole reason you shake it too, is so that you can get all that stuff that's in the bottom, all the pigments, all the liquids, all that stuff mixed up, and in some cases the propellant will actually mix with it to force it out. So I'm going to show you how to do it. There's a couple ways. You can spray it into a container, you can spray it directly into your airbrush, into the cup, right? Or you can take it out of there. So let's get to it. I'll show you the spraying it into a container first, and then I'll show you the taking it out of the can. Alright, the paint process I'm going to be doing involves me mixing my own paint. And I don't have time or the money right now to go buy a gallon of 2K clear and hardener and all that stuff and pre-mix it myself, so we're going to shortcut it. And there's a way you can do this. It's called decanning. And all you do is get your favorite clear coat. In this case, I'm going to be using fast drying polyurethane clear gloss, and we have to get the paint out of the can into a container, and then we add our tint, because that's all a Spectraflame paint is anyway, is a tinted polyurethane. There's several ways to do this, but one of them includes letting it set for a couple days, poking a hole at the top, and then letting all the propellant come out. Then you go around and cut the top off, pour all the liquid into a container. The other way is to spray it directly into an airbrush. You know, like if you're going to just use your airbrush to clear coat and you don't want to use the spray. The third way, which is the way I'm going to do, is to take a container, and I got to dry this one out. Take a container, spray the paint into it, and then take that and pour it into your container. Alright, so here's the process. Since I'm going to be mixing my own Spectraflame paint, we have to have the paint, number one, and then we have to have the color. So what you do is you take your favorite paint, and in this case I would use 2K clear, but I don't have the money or the time to go get it for this project. I'm kind of behind the 8 ball. I know I've got a couple weeks, but I've got so much going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my favorite spray paint, polyurethane, which is clear gloss, but we have to get it out of there. There's lots of clear coats out there. You've got enamels, and I have an enamel that I really like that I use a lot, which is like 1/3 of the cost of a good quality polyurethane. So But because this is a special paint job and a car for somebody, you know, I want it to be right. So we're doing the polyurethane. I just went and picked that up, and we're going to mix our own. Because like I said, I don't have time for Spectral Flame paint to come, because last time I ordered paint from the Redline shop, it took almost 2 months to get here. So here we go, we're going to get this out. Alright, so I only need enough for this bottle. This is probably about an ounce. So I'm going to spray it into this, and then I'm going to transfer it over to this, because it's just easier to get the paint and grip and everything with that. So all you got to do is shake it up really good. Now if you use the Rust-Oleum clear glaze, the nozzle on it is round and it has a hole in it, and you can actually put a straw in there. Sorry, but the neighbor of course is mowing again. Anyhow, they make caps with little straws on it to where you can get it out of the can that much easier. But in our case, we're just going to take the can, like I said, and we're just going to spray the crap out of it and catch the paint. That's really all there is to it. As you can see, you're not really getting that much liquid out. And you would think that this would be yellow because it's actually yellow coming out, but when it dries, it actually dries clear. But all you gotta do is just take it and pour it in. Again, it comes out yellow, but when you spray it and it dries, it comes out clear. Now that's about all I need. We're going to set this over to the top, because you have to let this set for 5 or 6 hours for the propellant to get out of the paint. And then we'll add our color and we'll go from there. That's all there is to decanting it, or decanning it. And that stuff's cold when it comes out too. And by the time we add our color and it evaporates just a little bit from letting it sit out here and get the propellant out of it, that'll actually go down some. But it's funny how it comes out yellow and it dries clear. Now again, you got something that you want, and in this case it says clear gloss. Although we know that Minwax is not clear, it's got a yellow tint to it. If you're going to do this and you're under 14 years old, I strongly advise letting your parents do this, because number one, you're going to be poking a hole in this can with a sharp object, right? And number two, it's going to be letting stuff out as you do it, so it could potentially create a mess. So to keep it from getting all over you, to keep it from getting all over the inside of your parents' house, just ask them for their help. Make it a lot simpler. Okay, what you want to do is you want to take the can, you want to let it sit for a couple days. This one has not been sitting for a couple days. This one has been sitting for about a day, day and a half. The reason you let it sit for a couple days is to allow everything to sit back down in the bottom, because that's what you want, is that liquid that's down in the bottom. But anyhow, you're going to need something sharp to poke the hole with, and you want to stay, so let me get this top off without shaking it too bad. Yep. You know, you want to stay somewhere down, I don't know, about an inch above the top. You sure don't want to go down here at the bottom. You don't want to be in middle ways. You want to go up to the top so all the liquid stays down at the bottom. So now all there is to it is just take something really sharp and poke a hole in it. Until you start hearing it come out. And see, that's why I say, if you did that inside your house, you'd be having a mess all over your house. But you're just going to let it sit there for about 8 hours, because what's happening is that propellant, whenever it hits the atmosphere and the air, it wants to force everything out. So that's what it's going to do, is we're going to lose some, unfortunately, but what can you do? But we're going to let that sit there for about 6 to 8 hours and allow all that propellant to escape, and then we will take it and put it in another container. So just for giggles, in case something runs out down the side of the can, I'm going to set it on a paper towel, right? And we're just going to leave it there for a while, and then we will come back and we will make that hole that we just made a little bigger. See how it's not spraying out now, but you can still hear it. So the propellant is now coming out and there's no liquid coming out, so that's excellent. That's what we want. So we're going to let it set 6 to 8 hours, then we can come back and make that hole bigger, cut the top off of it, and then we can get the liquid out of the can. Alright, we had a little rain shower this morning. Look at that. I just let it sit out here overnight to let all that evaporate out of it. As you can see, nice and wet, everything. But that's okay. And now all we got to do is find our hole that we poked, which is right there. And we just make that hole bigger. Big enough so we can get 10 snips in there, because we have to cut the top off of this, right? And that's why I say that you might want to get your parents' help, because there's going to be jagged edges and all kind of stuff. And there's what's inside one of these cans. Not much to it, is there? But there's actually pretty good bit of liquid in there, so you're of course going to have something to put it in. And put it in that bottle. And I gotta go get my funnel. Be right back. So put my funnel on top so we don't lose any, right? And then we're just gonna pour it in. And we just got the shaker ball too, so we can actually put that in other things, like other paints and stuff, like bottle paints and whatnot. Let's see what that actually was. Yep, just a ball bearing. Okay. It's a regular ball bearing. But now all we do is we take that and let it set, because it'll still have a little bit of propellant in it from us moving everything around, but 99.9% of it's already out. So now we can take that and put it in individual bottles for Spectraflame paint or regular clear coating or anything that we want to do. I wish I had a glass bottle, but you know, this day and time they don't make glass bottles anymore, so I'm going to have to find something else to put it in besides that. But that's what I had on hand at the time, because I got a project that I'm working on to where I needed that clear coat. So with that stated, with that said, that's how you decant spray paint, or any kind of aerosol for that matter. That's how you get everything that's in and out of it so that you can use it in your airbrush. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to take the cap and put it on it, and I'm just going to leave it like that and let it set for a little while longer. That way if anything pushes up on the top of it, it can get out because it's not sealed, and it can't evaporate like that. So until next time, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you all so very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.